Was Annunciation School shooter radicalized by online ideology? Was Robin Westman radicalized online to attack Christian school? What led to Minneapolis Annunciation School shooter targeting Catholic school? Was he radicalized by left-wing ideology as some media commentators and pundits on social media claim? Media analysts have weighed in on what may have led to Wednesday's mass shooting, which saw a former student at Minneapolis Annunciation Catholic School shooting dead 2 young children along with injuring another 17, including 14 children as they prayed, before taking their own life. Appearing on MSNBC, intelligence analyst Christopher O'Leary posited possible reasons behind trans shooter Robin Westman going on their shooting rampage, including the 23-year-old having been radicalized online. Was Annunciation shooter radicalized online to attack Christian school? Referencing the impacts of COVID isolation and online activity, code word for where liberals and conservatives go to their respective ideological echo chamber. The analyst wondered out aloud to what extent the trans shooter's actions were motivated by ideology. What I think is significant is, the videos and the manifestos and all of that will go to his motive and his ideology, O'Leary said according to Media.it. That is all going to be gone through. And, if he is on Reddit or if he's on any of these other chat platforms that have tended to radicalize people in the past, O'Leary said. Who else was he engaging with? Authorities will be trying to identify them and may have concern about them. Or, did they help motivate him and radicalize him to carry out this shooting? The analyst went on to suggest a more plausible reason: poor parenting. Minneapolis police, upon arriving at the residence of where the gunman lived with his parents, came across a stash of other weapons beyond the handgun, pistol and shotgun used during Wednesday morning's shooting. It remained unclear whether the parents were aware, or should have been aware, that their 23-year-old son was in the throes of a gender identity crisis along with mental health issues. A state of mind that may have heeded removing all weapons from the household, never mind the shooter being able to legally acquire the weapons recently. Critical race theory and woke ideology blamed. The media pundit continued to explore to what degree the amplification of ideologies online, whether online social community groups, i.e. Reddit, Facebook groups, X, may have influenced the susceptible shooter. Added O'Leary further, whether it's a terrorist organization or, the variety of ideologies that different people follow, they're following them because they have susceptibility. There's various push-pull factors. Maybe it's some kind of mental break. Maybe it's their life has, gone down the toilet and they have no hope. O'Leary said that law enforcement officials would come to know more once they had done a full scope of Westman's online history. Posited the media commentator, it could be a variety of things: the effects of COVID and the isolation and what's called the gamification influence, where young men are growing up, being raised by video games. Meanwhile, commentators on social media blamed critical race theory and woke ideology. Wrote one user on X, in part, because critical race theory and queer theory have been forced down the throats of our children. They pack a 1-2 punch. First, with CRT, they groom white youth into suicidal self-loathing. Then, with trans ideology, they groom vulnerable youth, usually with autism or a history of abuse, into committing acts of violence against themselves. Then, they freak out these deranged, brainwashed youth into thinking because they're LGBTQIA, they'll be targeted for genocide by Christians, white men, and Trump. And how do you expect these mentally ill, indoctrinated youth to respond? They commit atrocious acts of violence against white people, Christians, Republicans, and themselves, which is the goal of critical race theory and queer theory. FBI Director Kash Patel in the aftermath announced that the Bureau would be investigating the tragedy as an act of domestic terrorism and hate crime targeting Catholics. Like and subscribe for more.